How's it going, everybody? Hope we're all doing alright today. Back with a brand new video, and the plan for today, got quite a packed one. I'm going to go on a good ramble because it is an absolutely beautiful, calm late February morning. Starting off early today, it's about 8:45, and I've got a lot of ground to cover. I'm going to be picking up a rambler's trail that I've only been on once, and it was a couple of years ago, so hopefully I don't get lost. Yeah, I'm going to head up to the den, quick pit stop, have some breakfast, and then we're going to talk about the Thylacine of the Tasmanian Tiger and its potential rediscovery in 2021, and what that could mean for the future of the rediscovery of mammals and potentially undiscovered mammals like Bigfoot. So if you would like to find more out about that, please stick around. Seeing the footage that I caught of that deer then in the intro, I literally got into Billinge Wood and that deer was right there, you know, I guess what, about 100 foot from me maybe. You know, we're on zoom, my camera and obviously it's not the best footage of deer that I've ever caught. I quickly scrambled to get my camera out, but that right there is a building man, spoiling my video. Yeah, thank you. Anyway, that goes to show you right there that when people say, why did you not film a Bigfoot, why did you not get your camera out, that goes to show you right there just how asinine that statement is. Took me, I guess, maybe 12-13 seconds to get my camera out then. I was digesting what I saw, and I had to be quick and stealthy enough not to make any sudden movements to frighten the thing off. If you come face to face with a 7 to 8 foot tall, upright walking hairy man, I liken it to if you was to walk around the corner of your house and come face to face with an African male lion or a tiger, or insert whatever, you know, carnivorous creature you want to. You can read about them in the textbooks, you can see them in films or on television. To come within 6 foot of one, a different ball game entirely. You would soil yourself. So what are you going to do when you come face to face with a creature that isn't supposed to exist? Something in our, you know, numbed down brains to nature isn't supposed to be here. What are you going to do? You're not going to get your camera out. I will keep championing that argument forever. Also, on a quick side note, got my start date for work, so yeah, brilliant. I start on the 8th of March, woohoo! Which ain't very far off. So, but of course you guys know what that means, those loyal few faithful viewers that I do have on this channel. It's going to seriously affect how often I can upload content, which it is what it is, you know. It's been a good ride being able to pump out videos quite regularly, and there will still be videos in the future. As I say, when we get to springtime, I'm going to do my damnedest to be wild camping as often as I can, and, you know, like doing Bigfoot explorations. So yeah, it just means that obviously I won't be able to do it as often. So in the meantime, I'm going to try and get out as often, cover as many topics as I can. So yeah. Not bad, that. You know, I gotta admit, been feeling a bit rubbish last few days, a bit down in the dumps. And I weren't even going to talk about this, but then I changed my mind because I always said I wanted this channel to be not just about what it is about, but, you know, a place where men can speak freely about their mental health. Yeah, it's been feeling a bit down about silly stuff, you know, like why I can't meet anybody, and am I ever going to move out again, and when's the world going to go back to normal, all that sort of stuff. But I've literally been sat here for, I guess, 25 minutes, half an hour, in front of my nice little fire, had a bit of breakfast. It's a nice sunny day, and already I can feel my mood lifting exponentially, which is top. You know, it's nice to feel good again. But it just goes back to what I'm always championing, is that this place is so good for healing. You know, like, that kind of links in with my whole spiritualism stuff, and there's literally a robin sat right in front of me. If you can see it. It won't bloody zoom, man. Alright, buddy. That has literally just appeared while I've been talking to you guys. Where do you flip the camera back now? It's gone. That kind of like, it's nice for me to see that, because as I've said before, I identify as a spiritualist, and I'm a big believer that people's energies, when they die, can manifest themselves in the form of an animal. And I'm a big believer that whenever I see a robin like that, and it comes close to me, it's my grandma, because that was her favourite animal. So, yeah. Thanks, grandma. So then, let's crack on with today's topic. Thylacine, the Tasmanian Tiger. A bit of background is important, I think, to sort of cover on this topic first before we delve into it more. But where the inspiration for this video came from was a couple of days ago. I was browsing YouTube, as you do, and I came across, I guess, a recommended video, just because mainly a lot of the stuff I watch on YouTube is cryptid based, wild camp based, nature based, all that sort of stuff. And it was from a channel called the Thylacine Awareness Group of Australia, which I'm going to leave the link for the channel down below in the description for people that are interested in this topic. And I'm also going to leave the link for the video that I watched, titled "We Found a Thylacine." And the thumbnail was this very jubilant looking fella I should say, but very happy. And he was talking about how they'd caught a potential breeding pair and a baby thylacine on a camera trap, but he was just sort of waiting for peer review and scientific confirmation that what he had caught on this camera trap was the genuine article. So yeah, it got me thinking, let's talk about it. So then, the thylacine. What is a thylacine? Excuse me. Thylacine, more commonly known as the Tasmanian Tiger. It's not a tiger at all. Just gets that name because of the striped markings on its body. They resemble a tiger. It's a type of marsupial. Marsupial is an animal that is a type of mammal, just like us, just like tigers, but its defining characteristic is that when it's first born, it's actually born prematurely, and it spends the first sort of 2-3 months of its life sort of living externally attached to its mother, feeding off the mammary glands. So that common image you get of a baby kangaroo or a joey hiding inside the mother's pouch, that's because it's feeding off the mammary glands, because it's premature. There's lots of marsupials. It's a very diverse group of mammals. Like I say, kangaroos, wombats, Tasmanian devils, and of course the extinct thylacine. As I say, this creature has been declared extinct, and the last one died in captivity in 1936. There's lots of iconic images and silent film footage of that creature. And then it wasn't until 1982 that the species was finally declared to be extinct by science, as in extinct in the wild. And of course the last one had died in captivity. And how that works, basically, the IUCN, which is the International Union of the Conservation of Nature, they declare an animal extinct if there have been no sightings in the wild for over 50 years. So I guess the last one would have been seen in 1932, and then, as I say, fast forward to 1982, that's when it was classed as extinct. It's gone. Having said all of this though, even though this creature has been declared to be extinct by science, you're probably guessing where this is going. From from 1932 all the way through to present day, sightings of this creature have persisted on the island of Tasmania, from people of all walks of life, to the point that even though this creature is recognised by science, its status has almost become legendary and mythic, like Bigfoot, like lake monsters. So yeah, is there a case that this creature did dodge a bullet and survive extinction? Whew! Tell you what, everybody, I was looking a little bit dodgy then for a few minutes. Just got myself lost for a good hour or so, just rambling through random farm fields, trying to pick up this trail that I went on years ago with this ramblers group. Anyway, finally found it, so I hope I have anyway. So we can continue with today's topic. So, like I say, the thylacine, it's more commonly known as the Tasmanian Tiger. You know, the clue's in the name right there, Tasmania. That's where it comes from, where it did come from, I should say. Tasmania is a small island off the southern coast of Australia. It's about as big as Ireland, but what's interesting about it, it's got a population of over 500,000 people, and they're all kind of distributed on the west, east and southern coast of the island, kind of like in a horseshoe shape, if you like. The north and the interior of the island is one gigantic nature reserve. It's about 1.6 million hectares in diameter, which is a big space really for any animal to hide in. And to give you an idea of the scale, 1 hectare is the size of an American football field, or a rugby field as we call it over here in England. So you times that by 1.5 million. It's quite spacious, that. So the habitat of Tasmania is what you would call temperate rainforest, which is very similar to what they have in the Pacific Northwest of North America, and up into Canada, British Columbia, Vancouver Island, that sort of thing, and of course here in the UK, up in Scotland. A mix of sort of coniferous trees, sphagnum moss, moorland, heathland, that sort of thing. Very dense, very remote, very hard to traverse. You know, it's surprising when you're walking through this sort of terrain, temperate rainforest, conifer trees and things like that. Here in the UK, even just the man-made ones that I walk through doing these videos, they can be annoying to walk through sometimes because the trees are so weak, they collapse a lot, and it can make it quite challenging to traverse. So, you know, if you think about this logically, just entertain me here for a minute. Tasmanian tiger, it's not a big animal. I should say it wasn't a big animal. At the shoulder it was about 60 centimetres, so, you know, 90 centimetres in length. It's about the size of a small dog, basically. Let's say there's a small population of them still on Tasmania, up in the northern mountainous reaches of this island, where hardly anybody goes. You know, certainly not a rambler like myself. Is it not entirely out of the question that a small remnant population could remain undetected there and hidden? I remember about 3 or 4 years ago now, I think it was just after I finished uni, it might have been while I was still there, I can't remember exactly, but there was a very interesting scientific article that I read from a wildlife biologist who was making the case that the Thylacine was still alive because the ecological presence on the island of Tasmania could support an apex predator. An apex predator is an animal that basically resides at the top of the food chain, and you have to have so many other animals in place to be able to support an apex predator. You know, it's food chain basics really. You know, there has to be enough grassland, enough vegetation to feed a herbivore population, and there has to be enough herbivores to feed a large carnivore. You know, for every 200 zebra there's 1 lion, just for example. But the ecosystem was so good on Tasmania and so healthy, it suggested that there was an apex predator controlling the numbers of the prey species. And again, it makes sense as that, because if you don't have an apex predator in place, what's going to happen? The prey items are just going to explode because there's nothing that's predating on them, and then, you know, by extension of that, the vegetation is going to suffer because there's too many animals feeding on it. It's not having enough time to grow back. So yeah, interesting is that. So the very latest update on this story of this Thylacine awareness group, who've, you know, they claim to have caught pictures of them on a trail cam, is that this wildlife biologist who they've sent the pictures off to has come back and said that it's likely not a thylacine but a paddy melon, which is another type of marsupial, kind of like a miniature kangaroo, I guess, a bit smaller than a wallaby, about the size of a large rabbit, if you can imagine a kangaroo that size. And I don't know, again, I'm not a wildlife biologist. I don't even really know much about marsupials, to be honest with you, but looking at a paddy melon and looking at a thylacine, I don't think they look alike, to be honest with you. So here's something for you to all have a think about. Take it for what it is, I guess. Just something to have a think about. But I remember when I was a student, when I was at uni, I suppose these are flaws of my personality really. I had a lot of trouble following instructions when I was at uni. I wasn't a bad student, you know, like I was never naughty and misbehaved. I always did my work, but as a person I'm generally quite stubborn, and I don't follow authority very well either. So someone who is, you know, sort of stationed above me is telling me to do something, I generally will go the opposite way just to spite them. But you know, a long time ago that. I'm a bit more mature now, I think. But I remember the whole, you know, like when you have to reference things with, you know, scientific citations to back up what you're claiming. And it's like, well, what if you're talking about something that is brand new, is brand newly been discovered? How are you supposed to reference that? Oh, we don't talk about that in science. That was the answer that I would get from a lot of my tutors. You know, so that used to wind me up. And then when I got to my dissertation, well, that wasn't paid. It got to a point with that where I just kind of clocked out eventually, and I wasn't really interested anymore. And long story short, I was doing my dissertation on snake feeding methods, which again, quite a novel research project. There was hardly any literature on the subject for me to reference, and excuse me, my tutors would really try and encourage me to sort of do something different for my research project, but because again I'm a stubborn person, I was like, no, this is what I want to research, I'm going to do it whether you say yes or no. But my whole argument was, look, I don't need a reference to tell me that a snake eats a certain way, because I've seen it with my own eyes. I have 12 pythons at home that I've seen feeding this way. I've seen it with my own eyes. I don't need a reference to say that for me. And of course, that's not how science works. But it's the same with this thylacine business. You know, you cannot change the fact that thousands of people since the 1930s have claimed they have seen this creature. You cannot change the fact that they have said it. Whether or not they saw it or not, or they saw something else, another matter entirely. But the fact that they have said it, you cannot change that. Okay? And, you know, again, kind of this goes back to Bigfoot. A lot of scientists will say anecdotal evidence, which is eyewitness accounts, basically. Written reports is not evidence, which I wholeheartedly disagree with. It is evidence. The fact that someone has said something is a fact. You cannot dispute that. The fact that people are saying that they're seeing thylacines, that in itself is a fact. So yeah. So, yeah. Bit of a rant there, but just trying to make a point that I think sometimes fundamental science, in its truest sense, it's a bit narrow-minded, and it doesn't often extend into these sort of boundaries of, you know, cryptozoology, we'll say, paranormal, what have you. And unless it shifts its dogma, it never will. So yeah, but I think I'm just gonna conclude and say that, you know what, to me it seems a no-brainer. The thylacine is still out there. It's got plenty of terrain for it to hide in, plenty of food for it to eat, and enough people are seeing them, who are seeing something to take it seriously. So yeah, that's that. But yeah, I think I'm gonna wrap it up now, and just say, if you've enjoyed this video, please leave a like as always. If you made it through to the end, God bless you. If you have any thoughts yourself as to whether the thylacine still exists or not, or whether it is truly extinct, of course I would love to know. Please leave your thoughts down below in the comments. Subscribe if you haven't. Share this on your social media if you want to. It would be absolutely awesome if we did get the announcement, maybe in a week or a month or so, that these pictures have come back and they are legit and that they do still exist. That would be awesome. But this is kind of like my way to sort of spread awareness about the subject, I guess, and get people thinking about it. But yeah, I'll see you all further on down the road. Bye bye.